Pretty convenient, right? That's why it's been the ideal choice for standard range and shorter distance vehicles. Tesla officially recommends for LFP battery models to charge to 100% daily. The car even displays a message saying, daily charging to 100% is recommended for this vehicle. But LFP batteries have downsides too. They're extremely sensitive to temperature. When it's too hot or too cold, they don't charge fast enough and can't deliver sufficient power. This is one of the reasons EV performance drops in winter. LFP batteries see significantly slower charging speeds when temperatures drop below freezing, and even when you try to fast charge, the battery needs to go through a warming process first. That's why colder regions often prefer nickel-based batteries over LFP. The second type is nickel-based batteries. We call them NMC or NCA batteries. NMC is a combination of nickel, manganese, cobalt, and NCA is nickel, cobalt, aluminum. These batteries are like high-performance marathon runners. Their biggest advantage is much higher energy density and higher peak power output. That's what enables Tesla's long-range and performance models to achieve longer range and faster acceleration. All the high-performance models, like the Model S Plaid and Model X Plaid, use these nickel-based batteries. But there was a trade-off. To get this high performance, you had to limit daily charging to 80% to minimize long-term battery health degradation and performance loss. That convenience gap, that created a dilemma. This created a convenience gap. LFP battery users could conveniently charge to 100% daily, while nickel-based battery users had great performance but charging restrictions. Think about it. You pay more money for a long-range or performance model, but you're actually less convenient when it comes to charging? That's a pretty ironic situation. This issue has been constantly raised in Tesla owner communities. Why do I have charging restrictions when I bought a more expensive car? I'm jealous of LFP model users. You could see tons of comments like this. Especially for people who frequently take long trips, this 10% difference was really meaningful. With 80% charging, you might not make it to the next charging station. But with 90%, you could arrive comfortably. But what Lars Moravy said was that Tesla has cut this gap between LFP and nickel-based batteries in half. They've made high-performance batteries as user-friendly as standard batteries while maintaining all their advantages. You can see how amazing this development is. The scientific innovation of doping technology. So, how exactly did Tesla create this incredible change? This is where really fascinating science comes in. The secret lies in a technology called cathode doping. Looking at recently published patent applications, number US 20240383770A1, this document shows the science behind Tesla's innovation in detail. The patent title is pretty academic: Doped Cathode Active Materials and Methods Thereof. In simple terms, it describes the process of improving the chemical properties of nickel-based batteries, allowing them to enhance both performance and long-term lifespan. Doping is a technique used in materials science where you mix very precise, small amounts of other metal elements into the main cathode material during manufacturing. This is extremely precise work. Too much won't work, too little won't work either. These dopants solve the main weakness of cathodes, the serious capacity loss that occurs during repeated use cycles. Why does battery performance degrade through repeated charging and discharging? It's because of chemical reactions inside the battery. As lithium ions travel back and forth between the cathode and anode, the battery structure gradually changes, and active materials are lost, or conductivity decreases during this process. Nickel-based batteries, despite their higher energy density, are more prone to these structural changes. That's why we've been recommended to charge only to 80% to extend battery life. The numbers here are absolutely incredible. Tesla has improved charge retention from 83% in old generation cathodes to almost 91% in new doped cathodes. According to the patent documents, standard undoped cells lose almost 20% of their energy capacity over time. Think about how big that loss is. A car that could go 400 kilometers when new can only go 320 kilometers after a few years. But cathodes doped with a combination of 4 elements lose less than 5% of their capacity over the same period. That means going from 400 kilometers to just 380 kilometers. Calculate how amazing this improvement is. Performance degradation reduced to a quarter, from 20% to 5%. That's a revolutionary change. This is exactly the crucial materials science breakthrough Tesla needed to advance battery technology. The secret combination of 4 elements. What's really curious is which 4 elements they combined. The patent documents contain specific element names, but this is also Tesla's core trade secret. Looking at doping elements commonly used in nickel-based batteries, there's aluminum, manganese, titanium, magnesium, zirconium, and others. Each plays a different role. Aluminum increases structural stability, manganese improves safety, titanium enhances electrical conductivity, and magnesium helps ion diffusion. Tesla's chosen combination of 4 elements is probably the optimal combination found through countless experiments and computer simulations. This kind of research would have required enormous time and cost. What this incredible engineering achievement means is transitioning to recommending 90% daily charging for new vehicles. This becomes much more user-friendly, providing owners with more range while simultaneously extending Tesla battery life. Do you realize how big this change is? One of the biggest inconveniences Tesla long-range and performance owners have had to deal with was this 80% charging limit. For example, if you have a vehicle with 500-kilometer range, charging to 80% only gave you 400 kilometers. But if you can now charge to 90%, you can use up to 450 kilometers. EV owners know how much difference this 50 kilometers makes in daily life. Especially in winter, when battery efficiency drops due to cold temperatures, actual range decreases by about 20 to 30% compared to what's displayed. If you could only charge to 80%, it would be really frustrating. But now, being able to charge to 90% means much more comfortable use even in winter. The innovation of psychological peace of mind. What's even more important is the psychological peace of mind. Having the restriction of only charging to 80% meant you always had to worry about battery level, especially during long trips. Can I make it to the next charging station? What if the battery runs out? You always had to worry about these things. This is called range anxiety in English, and it's one of the biggest stresses EV owners face. But if you can now charge to 90%, you'll be able to use it much more comfortably. It's only a 10% difference, but psychologically, it can provide much greater peace of mind. Tesla owner communities are already showing reactions like, being able to charge to 90%, this is going to make things so much more convenient. It's not just about range, it significantly reduces mental burden. And this isn't just about convenience. Tesla's breakthrough will have enormous ripple effects throughout the entire EV industry. Other manufacturers will accelerate their technology development even more, ultimately leading to better EVs for consumers. Current major EV competitors like German premium brands BMW, Mercedes-Benz, and Audi, as well as Chinese companies like BYD and NIO, are making massive investments in similar technology development. Chinese companies especially are developing battery technology at incredible speed. Technologies like blade batteries and Qilin batteries, developed by companies like CATL and BYD, are truly innovative. But with Tesla taking another step forward with this doping technology, competition will become even fiercer. And this competition will ultimately lead to better products for consumers. #revolutionary improvement in battery lifespan. What's particularly noteworthy is that this technology also extends the battery's long-term lifespan. Previously, you might notice battery performance dropping significantly after a few years of use. But now, we won't have to worry about that as much. Tesla announced several years ago that they're aiming for a million-mile battery. A million miles is about 1.6 million kilometers, which is enough distance for a typical vehicle's entire lifetime. There are actually Tesla Model S and Model X vehicles that have driven 500,000 kilometers, or 700,000 kilometers, and many cases report maintaining over 80% battery performance. With this doping technology applied, this long-term durability will improve even further. You might be able to drive your car for 10, 15 years without needing battery replacement. Strategic significance of quiet innovation. It's really interesting that Lars Moravy made this announcement on Jay Leno's garage. Usually, important technical announcements like this come through Tesla's official events or Elon Musk's X, but this time it was revealed really quietly, almost by accident. This might be Tesla's strategy. If they announce it too loudly, competitors will try to catch up, but by quietly revealing it and then applying it to actual products to gain overwhelming market advantage could be their strategy. Elon Musk has always said, the best product is the best marketing. It's the philosophy of focusing all resources on product development instead of spending money on advertising. This doping technology seems to be in a similar context, not promoting it loudly, but creating innovation that you can definitely feel the difference when you actually use it. Karan Singh's article on Not a Tesla app is really well put together too, covering everything from technical aspects to practical implications. There's another important point not to miss: when this new technology will be applied. Since Lars Moravy called it next-generation technology, it'll probably be applied to new Tesla models being released in the future. Tesla usually applies new technology to flagship models first, then expands to other models. For example, 4,680 batteries were initially applied only to limited Model Y versions, then expanded to other models later. This doping technology will probably follow a similar pattern. It'll likely start with new Model S or Model X refresh models releasing next year, or higher trims of the Cybertruck. What about existing owners? Software updates alone probably have limitations. You'd need actual battery hardware with new doping technology applied for 90% charging to be safe. But Tesla might offer battery upgrade programs. They've previously provided battery pack upgrades to Model S owners. It would cost money, but there could be ways for existing owners to benefit too. Or when batteries naturally reach replacement time, they could offer options to replace with new doping technology batteries. Tesla usually provides 8-year or 120,000 to 150,000 mile battery warranties, so if there are battery issues within that period, you could get replacements with new technology. What was really impressive about this announcement was the specific numbers. Improvement from 83% to 91%, enhancement from 20% capacity loss to less than 5%. Having these concrete data points makes it more trustworthy. Usually when car companies announce new technologies, they use vague expressions like improved or enhanced. But Tesla provides exact numbers. This really shows the engineering company approach. Going from 83% to 91%, that's 8 percentage points improvement, which is relatively almost 10% better. This level of improvement in battery technology is truly revolutionary. The reduction in capacity loss from 20% to less than 5% is also an incredible achievement. What this actually means is that while existing batteries would retain only 80% of original capacity after a few years, new batteries maintain over 95%. The secret of 4-element combination. The combination doping with 4 elements is also fascinating. We'd need to look at patent documents more closely to know which elements they are, but it's probably the optimal combination Tesla found through countless experiments and research. Doping in battery research is really tricky technology. Changing the ratio of each element even slightly can completely change performance. That's why finding this optimal combination requires really long time and lots of trial and error. It's amazing to imagine how many researchers Tesla deployed for this technology development, how many experiments they conducted. They probably tested hundreds, thousands of combinations and selected the one showing the best results. This technology development would have required truly enormous time and cost. You can see how much Tesla invests in battery technology. It shows, once again, that they're not just a car manufacturing company, but a company leading innovation in battery technology. Tesla signed an exclusive contract with Professor Jeff Dawn's research team, a battery research authority, in 2019. They also acquired Maxwell Technologies, a battery technology company. These investments are now bearing fruit. Tesla is also independently researching and developing battery cells at Gigafactory 1 in Nevada. While maintaining cooperation with Panasonic, they're simultaneously making massive investments in proprietary technology development. Another point to consider is that this technology could be applied to other fields too. Not just EVs, but energy storage systems and products like Powerwall could benefit, potentially having major impact on Tesla's entire energy business. What if this technology is applied to Tesla's Megapack large-scale energy storage systems? It could become a longer-lasting, more stable power grid storage solution, greatly helping solve renewable energy intermittency problems. If applied to residential Powerwall systems, every home could have more stable, longer-lasting energy storage systems. This would be especially useful in areas with frequent power outages or expensive electricity rates. Watching the full Jay Leno's Garage episode would probably provide much more information. Lars Moravy probably shared many other interesting details. Jay Leno is famous as a real car enthusiast. His personal garage has hundreds of classic cars and latest models, and his automotive knowledge is really extensive. That's why guests on his show often share more honest and detailed stories in the comfortable atmosphere than usual. Having a senior Tesla engineer like Lars Moravy appear on such a show to discuss technical content shows Tesla's open culture. Other car companies usually strictly keep such important technical information secret, but Tesla seems to take a more open approach. You're all really curious. Us too, right? When we'll actually see Tesla vehicles with this new battery technology, what impact it'll have on pricing, whether performance will really be as good as announced. From a pricing perspective, manufacturing costs for batteries with new doping technology might be higher than existing batteries, but Tesla has always reduced costs through economies of scale. Even if expensive initially, costs will drop quickly once mass production begins. And if battery lifespan becomes much longer, it could actually be more economical from a total cost of ownership perspective. If battery performance maintains almost the same level even after driving for 10-15 years, you could save on battery replacement costs. Significance as a game changer. Personally, I think this announcement will be a game changer for the EV market. One of the biggest disadvantages of EVs until now, charging restrictions, is being significantly alleviated. Now, we can really provide almost the same convenience as internal combustion engine cars. ICE cars fill their fuel tanks to 100%, right? Who drives around with gasoline only 80% filled? But EVs have been recommended to charge only to 80% until now. Was psychologically uncomfortable and practically limiting. But if you can now charge to 90% safely, and someday even to 100%, one of the last barriers between EVs and ICE cars disappears. I'm also really curious how Tesla will market this technology. It'll definitely be a major selling point. Just the message, "You can now charge to 90%, could attract many potential customers. Especially for people who were hesitant about EV purchases, this will be a really attractive point. For those who said, "I'm worried the battery will wear out quickly," you can now say, "You don't have to worry about that anymore." Tesla usually uses technical advantages as core marketing, like autonomous driving features or the supercharger network. This battery technology will probably be utilized similarly. Other EV manufacturers' reactions are also worth watching. Since Tesla has shown technical superiority once again, competitors will probably focus even more on similar technology development. BMW has already announced they're developing Gen 6 battery technology, And Mercedes-Benz is making massive investments in proprietary battery technology. Audi plans to apply new battery technology to their PPE platform. Chinese battery manufacturers like CATL and BYD won't sit still either. They're already showcasing innovative technologies like Qilin batteries and Blade batteries, so they'll likely introduce even more advanced technology in response to Tesla's announcement. Ultimately, this competition will lead to better EVs for consumers. The fiercer the competition, the faster technology development, and the more reasonable pricing becomes. Stock price impact. This news probably affected Tesla stock price too, and long-term, there will definitely be positive impact. It's a case where technical innovation leads to actual product competitiveness. Investors have always focused on Tesla's technical capabilities and innovation ability. Especially since battery technology is the most core part of EVs, breakthroughs in this field will be received very positively by investors. Wall Street analysts are probably paying attention to this news too, analyzing how long Tesla's technical advantage can last and what impact this will have on actual sales and profits. We're living in truly exciting times. Who would have predicted just a few years ago that EVs would develop this rapidly? With companies like Tesla continuously developing technologies that push limits, I'm really excited about what amazing news will come next. Not just battery technology, but autonomous driving, AI, robotics technology. All the fields Tesla is researching will connect with each other to create synergy. This battery technology innovation is part of that bigger picture. Especially for projects like the Optimus robot, this battery technology will be applied, creating longer-lasting and more stable robots. All technologies connecting to create even greater innovation. And this battery technology development will tremendously help the environment, too. If batteries last longer, the amount of waste batteries generated decreases, and resource usage can be reduced. Current EV battery recycling isn't perfect yet. It's technically possible, but not being done on a large scale due to economic factors. But if batteries last longer, the amount of batteries needing recycling decreases. Also, if battery lifespan increases, overall EV total cost of ownership decreases, allowing more people to switch to EVs. This will greatly help reduce carbon emissions. What do you think about this news? Please leave lots of comments with your opinions. And if you don't want to miss the latest Tesla news like this, make sure to set notifications too. I think this is truly amazing technological innovation. Beyond just being able to charge 10% more, it's innovation that changes the entire paradigm of battery technology. I'm really curious how this technology will actually be applied to products, what user reactions will be, and how other companies will respond. We'll have to keep watching. That wraps up today's content. We'll continue bringing you the latest EV and Tesla news, so don't forget to subscribe and like. And see you in the next video. Bye.